Hello.
I am muted. Of course I am, right? It's Wednesday. Good morning, Blue Demons. Welcome to today's session for Get to Know DePaul. I'm Courtney James from the Office of Student Involvement, and today I'm joined by James Stewart from Adult Veteran and Commuter Student Affairs. James, thanks so much for joining us.
I'm very happy to be here.
Yeah, so for those of you who may be new to Get to Know DePaul, the series is designed for you to get to know different programs, resources, and departments around the university. So for the last week and a half or so, we've been doing a deep dive with different departments, just so that the DePaul students, can get to know about what DePaul has for you or what DePaul has for you to engage with throughout winter quarter and spring. So, James, before we dive too far into things. First, tell us a little bit about yourself. So, who you are, where you're from, how long you've been at DePaul, and why you initially came here.
Yeah, so James Stewart, I'm originally from Arkansas, but I've been in Illinois 13, 14 years. And I've been at DePaul 8 years, serving as Director of Adult Veteran Commuter Student Affairs. I also work with some of our retention initiatives, but today I'm here to talk about AVCSA, as we like to call it. I was really drawn to DePaul for its mission. I mean, the level to which, and I think it's epitomized with the great work we try to do with our adult veteran and commuters. The students that, we try to help get an education and then make a difference in the world. And it's just a really rewarding place to work. And I love it here, and I'm happy to talk about what we do.
Yeah, great. So, I think, James, your office probably wins the award for the longest acronym at DePaul, right, with
It
AVCSA.
does.
So, yeah, so there's a whole lot of populations in there, right? Adult, veteran, and
Mhm.
commuter student affairs. So can you tell us a little bit about what AVCSA does, and what your role is at the university? Because I know even with that long title, there's some stuff that you're involved with that might fall outside the scope of that title.
Yeah, so we are involved in really student success in my mind. And so, from an AVCSA standpoint, we're trying to get each of those populations to be successful in their goals. And that includes a variety of kind of services, events, and resources that are connected to that. And so, they look different by each population, and then also the challenges and what the students bring to DePaul look different with each population. So, our adult non traditional learners, much like our student veterans, bring a wealth of the experiences they've already had from DePaul that I think highlight and make stronger the classroom environment. So we're thinking about things that we can offer them that help them deal with the fact they're managing multiple life roles, that they've got a lot going on in their life, really practical services. For our student veterans, we also execute all of the military benefits. So we work really kind of hand in hand with any student using like GI Bill or dependent benefits. And really, they are more wraparound services because we were kind of working with them on financial aid, typical type stuff, and everything. And then for our commuters, the bulk of DePaul, and certainly now in this environment, live off campus. So a lot of what we're trying to do is some services, like we typically have a lounge and stuff like that, but really around the Maslow hierarchy of need of where do you live. It can be a big daunting thing searching for an apartment and navigating that process at any point in your life. So we really try to fill in some services in that important aspect, but we do have some engagement and services connected to Commuter. Now, I also, and you kind of reference it, work with student success across all undergraduates with some other efforts. So what we're doing there is taking some of the things we do in adult veteran commuter and applying it to a student who maybe isn't those categories. But we're here today to talk about AVCSA.
Yeah. So, uh, typically we know AVCSA's home base is in the Loop and, on the 11th floor of the DePaul Center. But can you tell us a little bit about what engagement looked like for your office this past fall? How did students stay connected,
Mhm.
and really how you were doing some of that outreach?
Yeah. So we do host events. And so I'd encourage people to follow any or all of our D Hub pages. We have ones for each population. So there's an adult student affairs, a commuter student affairs, and a veteran affairs D Hub pages. Um, We have a virtual office that's going 9 to 5 every day, and the link is right on our website at go.depaul.edu/abcsa. And you can pop in there and visit with our student staff who are super knowledgeable and ready to answer any question that you might have. Or if they don't know the answer, they'll help you in finding who might know the answer. Really, a lot of engagement has come on our website also from the chat feature we've added. So we have a chat box on our website now that's monitored. And a lot of students, I think, rather than even popping in a Zoom room to just ask a quick question, find it really easy and accessible to just chat in a question on that page, and the dialogue back and forth. And sometimes it's enough of a thing we need to set up an appointment or get you into the Zoom room. But a lot of times it's a quick question that can be answered right there in chat, and that works really well.
Yeah, well, and I think that's really, it's helpful for students to know about that too, because,
Mhm.
I think right now, especially knowing about some of those chat boxes and some of those other things, and a theme we've oftentimes had, and you touch on it here, is if you don't know, you can ask any department, and
Mhm.
if they can't answer your question, they can direct you to the place that can and that can assist. So, those chat features, I think, are really, it was a great addition. You know, across the board for all DePaul websites this past spring when we added them, just to really be able to connect a little bit further.
Well, and I often talk about it in orientations and stuff as I see our office being a little bit like an RA might be for a residential student on a floor. When you don't know who to go to for that question, they were the person down the hall you could go to. But if you live off campus or you're an adult or something like that, we can help you in that way. And truly now it's not like on the chat we card you to see if you're an adult student by age or you're living off campus. I mean, we'll provide the same assistance and a warm handoff to another office if it's needed. But that chat has really been beneficial, and really probably the top way that students are kind of engaging and just asking those quick questions.
Yeah, so James, I'm curious, through some of the interactions you've had throughout fall quarter, have there been any trends or themes that you saw emerge from students that you can share with some of our viewers today?
I think one of the most frequent things is kind of feeling alone and a little disconnected, and realizing that that's normal in this period that's just so different and unusual, that we're kind of all navigating through. And so it takes work almost to make those connections. And there's an awkwardness to popping in a Zoom room for an event that you might not know anyone is at and stuff. But it's often rewarding and worth it. And so I think it's important to prioritize that kind of making connections with each other. Take the initiative to start the study group with some of your classmates for the class, because odds are there's other people wanting one, but someone's got to be the one to say, I'll create a Zoom and let's all meet and like try to study for this test together and stuff. Um, and so, but those connections are missed, and I think that you've got to do extra work in this environment to make them. But there's lots of great events going on campus, lots of great resources to make those connections. It's just about prioritizing that in this time when so much is going on, and that's very real. And I think the mental fatigue for all of this is also really real. But realizing that this is almost an outlet. It's kind of like, adding exercise to your day or something like that. It feels like another thing to put in, but you're actually be better for it.
Mhm. Yeah, I used to have when I worked at a university in Oklahoma before I worked at DePaul, and I always remembered I had this student, her name was Raina, and she still tells me about this as like one of the most important leadership lessons apparently I ever taught her, and I didn't even realize it. But we were at we were having a dance party, and no one was dancing, but like the music was great. We had like a light up dance floor, it was just like awesome. And I remember looking at her, and there were like, there were hundreds of people there, and they were all standing
Mhm.
around the dance floor. And I just remember looking at Raina, and I said, Raina, somebody has to be the first to dance. And apparently it was like this huge moment for her, like, and it's been like a philosophy that she's had, like somebody has to
Mhm.
be the first one to dance. And she went out to the dance floor and started dancing, and within 20 seconds there were 100 people dancing with her. And
Yep.
it's the same thing in these virtual environments.
Hmm.
Everybody wants to connect, and everybody wants to have that opportunity to engage with one another, talk about all of the different things, like play online games, but somebody has to be the first one to say it. And
Hmm.
sometimes it just takes a little bit of bravery, if you will, to be the one who puts it out there. And you know, maybe the first group that you ask might not be the one that takes, but the second one might, right?
Yeah.
And you never know until you try. And I think it's that the like what you talk about, James, is so important, especially in the winter, knowing like the winter blues are real, and it's going to be harder for us to go outside when it gets to -10, especially if
Yeah.
you're in Chicago. So you've got to find those connections. And we know it's not the same. We're not going to, pretend to say it's the same on a computer as it is in person. But the thing that we keep talking about through all of this is your foundation, right? So like when
Mhm.
the pandemic will eventually subside and we'll be able to go back to in-person events. So start to build those relationships
Yeah.
now so you can join in with people, hopefully in the near future.
Well, and I even think about within our populations, like veterans, meeting other veterans and stuff like that. We have a quarterly connection event tomorrow, and the details are on our DHub page and stuff. But it's just so important to find your home of people. That networking is important, for job prospects and all that after, but it's also just important. We humans are social beings. And even though it takes work, it's really important to satisfy that need.
hmm And James, you keep mentioning, and I'll just share with our viewers. I know you've mentioned the DHub page a couple of times. So if you go to dhub.depaul.edu, you can search for any of the AVCSA affiliated organizations, or really any student organization.
Mhm.
You can search by interests. You can browse all of the different opportunities as well. But it is a great resource for you to go. You can see all of their schedules. We're really encouraging student organizations to put their meetings and events in DHub so it can be that home base for our student org community. But definitely a great resource to check out if you haven't yet.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so I know, so you talked a little bit here about the quarterly connections. I'm curious about what other types of opportunities for involvement there are in your office.
Yeah, we have several programs throughout the quarter. So we do some developmental programs. So we do workshops. So, for instance, on time management and productivity, they can be so important in this period, or on learning about your strengths. We've also got some student veterans specialized career workshops coming up, and all those would be on our DHub pages. We do some fun social things, especially on our DPU Commuters Instagram page. So if you follow that, they do Commuter Cravings, which is a live cook along on Wednesdays at 4. They do virtual scavenger hunts in which you can win prizes each week. So there'll be a thing each week you need to go find wherever you live, a fountain, a mural, like whatever, and you post your picture of it. So just fun engagements that exist there on Instagram as well. So those are just a few, but some great ways to get connected.
Awesome. So speaking of getting connected, I know you mentioned the website, but how can students stay connected with you throughout winter and spring?
Yeah, the website is really a key to everything. So if you go to go.depaul.edu/ABCSA, right there on the bottom, it's links to our virtual office. The chat pops right up, and it's also got links to our D Hub. So you could kind of treat that as a home base to navigate to any of the parts of our department and the opportunities that might exist, or ask your quick question while you're there, just chatting, or pop in the virtual office Monday to Friday, 9 to 5.
Perfect. So, as we head towards the tail end of our interview, if any of our viewers have any questions, feel free to post them in the chat, however, you're watching on YouTube or Facebook. And we're happy to answer them here live on screen. But, James, as we head towards the end of the interview, I'm just curious if you have any advice for students as they head into their second quarter of the academic year here.
I think big advice, and because I just did one of our time management workshops yesterday, this is fresh on my mind. But schedule. We human beings really respond well to routine, and scheduling lets you focus. It lets you say that, like, tomorrow morning for 2 hours, I'm going to do that reading for that class. And I really encourage these kind of productivity kind of periods. And so what I mean by that is maybe trying to work 25 minutes of complete focus, and then take a 5-minute break to check everything on your phone, go to the bathroom, whatever you need to do, and then jump back in for another 25 minutes. But really making the most of that time. And the more you schedule, the more you'll start learning, like, oh, I can typically write a page of a paper every hour. And then you can, really get where you can break down this 10-page paper you're going to have to do and stuff like that. So scheduling would be my quick tip.
That's great. Well, James, thank you so much for taking the time to join us today. We really appreciate it. For all of our viewers, this event, Get to Know DePaul, is part of our Winter Welcome Week. So we extended our Winter Welcome Week schedule following last Wednesday's attacks on the Capitol. So we've got a couple more events in store for you here in the upcoming days. So we've got a couple more Get to Know DePaul's. Tonight, DAB is hosting trivia. Then tomorrow, we're doing our highly anticipated, there's a ton of excitement about it. We've got a t-shirt drop coming up tomorrow. So you can find out details for all of those events by going to welcomeweek.depaul.edu. The other thing I would share, if you haven't yet, you can also check in today's event. Check into today's event by scanning the QR code on the screen or by clicking the link in the comments to check in. You can check in anytime between now and January 17th for your opportunity to win one of our Blue Demon Spirit Packs that includes a DePaul towel and a DePaul tumbler. But until next time, we hope you stay safe, Blue Demons, and we will see y'all soon. Bye-bye, everybody.